Chosen one, why are you still awake at 2:47 a.m.? Why does your soul refuse to rest tonight? Why does something deep in your spirit absolutely know that this moment isn't random? Because while America sleeps, heaven's vault is cracking open above your head. Listen to me carefully, beloved. That restlessness in your chest, that electric feeling coursing through your veins right now, that's not insomnia. That's divine intervention. God is positioning you for the greatest financial transfer in your family's history, and it's happening this very night. You've walked through decades of financial hell, haven't you? 70 years of struggle, 80 years of empty promises, bills that came faster than paychecks, children who needed more than you could give, nights when you fell asleep wondering if God had your address wrong. But tonight is different. The night sky above America isn't silent, it's pregnant with billions, like a cosmic vault unlocking over your head. Every star you see is a dollar sign. Every constellation is a divine deposit slip with your name written across it. God is delivering billions into your hands. Not someday, not next year, not when you're worthy enough, but this very night. Before I share another word, I need to pause and honor something sacred. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're sowing seeds into heavenly soil. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message is already stirring your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith right now. But here's what's shaking me to my core tonight. While you've been praying for breakthrough, God's been preparing a financial flood so massive that your great-grandchildren will inherit wealth they never worked for. If your spirit is stirring, if something ancient is awakening in your chest, comment Amen right now. Don't think about it. Just let your faith speak. Type 777 the chat. Declare that you're aligned with heaven's flow. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual warfare against every poverty spirit that stalked your bloodline. Because before this hour ends, I'm going to reveal the 3 prophetic signs that prove the transfer is already in motion for you. Signs so specific, so undeniable, that you'll know beyond doubt your name is written in heaven's ledger tonight. The vault is creaking open, chosen one. And what's about to pour out will rewrite every financial story your family has ever known. Are you ready to receive what's already yours? Why do you think you can't sleep tonight? Why does every bone in your body ache with anticipation you can't explain? Why does the very air around you feel charged with electricity? Because, chosen one, there's a river of gold flowing through unseen pipes from heaven to earth, and it's headed straight for your address. Let me tell you something that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about your financial destiny. For decades, you've watched others get promoted while you got overlooked. You've seen younger people buy homes while you counted coupons. You've witnessed families take vacations while you rationed groceries. And somewhere deep in your heart, you whispered the question that haunts every forgotten soul. Lord, why not me? Why not now? Tonight, God thunders his answer back, because now is your appointed time. You see, there's something the enemy never wanted you to understand about divine timing. Every delay in your life, every rejection letter, every closed door, every dream deferred wasn't God's punishment. It was God's preparation. You think you missed your chance, but the truth is, you were being refined in the furnace of delay, just like pure gold. Let me take you back 4,000 years to a prison cell in Egypt. A young man named Joseph sits in chains, forgotten by the world. For 13 long years, he watched the sun rise and set through iron bars. 13 years of wondering if God's promises were just cruel jokes. 13 years of watching lesser men walk free while he rotted in darkness. But Genesis 41:14 records the moment everything changed. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. Notice that word, quickly, not gradually, not eventually, quickly. In one day, Joseph went from prisoner 4,738 to second in command of the most powerful empire on earth. Here's what will blow your mind. Joseph didn't chase wealth. Wealth chased him. He didn't network his way to the palace. Heaven's river of gold flowed straight to his cell and carried him to the throne. The same supernatural current is flowing toward you right now. You've been in your own prison, haven't you? The prison of barely making it. The dungeon of watching bills pile up faster than paychecks. The cell of being 70, 75, 80 years old and still wondering if your breakthrough will ever come. But something seismic is happening in the spiritual realm tonight. The tectonic plates of heaven are shifting. The vault that's been sealed over your family's finances for generations is creaking open. And what's about to pour out will make Joseph's promotion look like pocket change. I need you to understand something that will revolutionize how you see this moment. This isn't just about money landing in your bank account. Money is just paper and numbers. What God is delivering into your hands tonight is something far more precious. It's freedom. Freedom from the anxiety that wakes you at 3 a.m. Freedom from the shame of having to say no to your grandchildren. Freedom from the prison of feeling like a burden instead of a blessing. The wealth flowing toward you carries divine authority. When heaven opens its treasury over your life, you don't just get dollars, you get dominion. You don't just receive resources, you receive the power to reshape every broken thing in your world. You become a force of restoration, a river of blessing, a living testament that God still keeps his promises. Think about it. Why do you think the attacks on your finances have been so relentless? Why has every step forward felt like you were walking through quicksand? Because the enemy saw what was coming. He saw tonight. He saw this moment when heaven would crack open over your head and pour out decades of stored up blessings. Every attack was his desperate attempt to make you quit one day before your payday. But you didn't quit, did you? You're still here. You're still believing. You're still breathing. That's not accident. That's appointment. Your survival is proof that you were marked for this moment. Right now, as I speak these words, there are golden pipes extending from God's throne straight into your living room, your bedroom, wherever you're hearing this message. The river is flowing. The current is building. And what's about to break through will wash away every limitation that's held you back. Here's the part that should make you tremble. This isn't just about your breakthrough. You're about to become someone else's miracle. That business idea that's been burning in your heart, it's going to employ hundreds. That ministry you've dreamed of starting, it's going to heal thousands. That legacy you want to leave, it's going to impact millions. God isn't just making you wealthy. He's making you dangerous to poverty itself. Have you ever noticed how Joseph's story didn't end with his personal prosperity? Genesis 41 to 57 tells us that all the earth came to Egypt to Joseph to buy grain. His wealth became the world's salvation. Your wealth is destined for the same purpose, to save others from the famine of hopelessness. If you believe the heavens are shifting over your life right now, hit that like button. Let your action send a signal to the unseen realm that you're ready to receive what's already been prepared for you. The shift isn't coming, beloved. The shift is here, and what happens next will prove that God's timing is never early, never late, but always precisely perfect. But there's something else you need to know about this heavenly transfer, something that will determine whether you receive drops or you receive the flood. Beloved, let me tell you something that's going to cut deep into your soul tonight. That pain you've been carrying for the last 40, 50, 60 years, that crushing loneliness when your spouse passed, that betrayal when your own children stopped calling, that terror every time you open another medical bill, it wasn't random suffering, it was divine preparation. You see, there's a furnace that burns hotter than any earthly fire. It's the furnace of God's refining process. And chosen one, you've been living in it your entire adult life. Every sleepless night when you wondered how you'd pay rent. Every time you ate beans and rice for the 3rd week straight. Every moment you felt invisible, forgotten, cast aside by a world that worships youth and discards wisdom. You thought you were being destroyed, but God was purifying gold. Listen to me carefully. When a goldsmith puts precious metal into the furnace, he doesn't walk away. He sits, he watches, he waits. And do you know what he's looking for? His own reflection in that molten gold. The fire doesn't stop until the goldsmith can see his face clearly in the metal. God has been watching you in that furnace, beloved. Every tear you cried at 3 a.m. when the bills were stacked higher than your hope. He collected every drop. Every prayer you whispered when your back was against the wall, he heard every word. Every time you wanted to give up, but somehow found the strength to take one more breath, he was seeing his own reflection forming in your spirit. The Bible tells us about a man named Job, lost everything in a single day. His children, his wealth, his health, even his wife told him to curse God and die. But here's what shakes me to my core. Job didn't know that Satan himself had to ask God's permission before touching him. The enemy saw something in Job that terrified him. He saw refined gold. He saw a man who would worship God, not because of what he had, but because of who God is. And you know what happened? Job 42:10 declares, "The Lord restored Job's fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before." Twice as much. Not just restoration, multiplication. Not just healing abundance beyond his wildest imagination. Tonight, I'm looking at modern-day jobs. Men and women who've been stripped down to nothing but faith. You've lost your savings to medical bills. You've watched your friends pass away one by one. You felt the sting of being treated like you don't matter anymore because you're over 70, over 80. But what if I told you that every tear was a deposit slip in heaven's bank? What if every sleepless night of worry was compound interest building on a divine investment? What if every moment you felt forgotten was actually God positioning you for the greatest financial miracle of your lifetime? You weren't being punished, dear one. You were being prepared. Think about this. Why would God trust someone with billions who's never known lack? How could someone steward supernatural wealth who's never felt the weight of empty pockets? The fire you've walked through wasn't your destruction, it was your qualification certificate. Every time you chose forgiveness over bitterness when your children disappointed you, that was gold being refined. Every time you gave your last $20 to help someone else even when you needed it yourself, that was your heart being purified. Every time you praised God through tears, through pain, through circumstances that made no logical sense, that was the goldsmith seeing his reflection in your soul. The world looks at your wrinkled hands and sees age. God looks at those same hands and sees vessels that have been tested, proven, prepared to hold wealth without being corrupted by it. Wall Street trusts young hotshots with millions and watches them crash and burn. But heaven trusts refined gold with billions, because refined gold doesn't tarnish under pressure. You want to know why your financial breakthrough is coming in the form of billions, not thousands, not millions, but billions? Because God needs someone whose heart has been so purified by fire that they can handle supernatural wealth without losing their soul. Someone who knows that money is just a tool, not a god. Someone who's learned to trust him in poverty so they can be trusted with abundance. Every diabetic shot you've taken, every funeral you've attended, every night you've gone to bed, worried, sick about tomorrow. It was all preparing your spirit to carry wealth that would destroy someone who hasn't been refined. The enemy thought he was breaking you with that divorce at 65. He thought he was destroying you when the factory closed and your pension vanished. He thought he was finishing you when the medical bills started piling up like snow in a Buffalo winter. But he made one fatal mistake. Fire doesn't destroy gold, it reveals it. Tonight, the refinement process is complete. The goldsmith can see his reflection perfectly in your spirit. You're not the same person who started this journey decades ago. You're purified, you're proven, you're ready. But why billions? Why such an incomprehensible amount? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why God chose this specific number for his most refined vessels. The divine mathematics behind your breakthrough will leave you speechless. Because when the God of abundance decides to reward his refined gold, he doesn't think in human terms. He thinks in kingdom terms. And kingdom wealth is about to rewrite every financial story your bloodline has ever known. You know what's breaking my heart right now? I'm looking at America's seniors, warriors who built this nation with their bare hands, and they're still counting pennies at the grocery store, still choosing between medication and groceries, still apologizing to their children for not having enough. Stop. That story ends tonight. That narrative of struggle, of scraping, of surviving on Social Security crumbs, it dies right here, right now. Listen to me, chosen one. You've been living beneath your spiritual inheritance. You've been accepting the world's economy when heaven has been trying to hand you God's economy. The world taught you to chase scraps from the master's table, but God never intended for you to be the beggar. You are the banquet. Picture this with me. There's a massive banquet hall in heaven, golden tables stretching as far as the eye can see, loaded with abundance beyond imagination. While the world scrambles on the floor fighting over breadcrumbs, there's an empty chair with your name on it. God's been saving your seat, wondering when you'd finally come home to claim what was always yours. You're not scraping anymore, you're stepping into surplus. The billionaire shift is not coming, it is here. But let me ask you something that's going to cut deep into your soul. How long have you been believing the lie that poverty makes you holy? How many decades have you worn struggle like a badge of honor, thinking that financial lack somehow brings you closer to God? That's not biblical, that's bondage. Look at Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 3. When God asked him what he wanted, Solomon asked for wisdom to lead his people. But watch what happened next. Because Solomon's heart was right, because he sought God's kingdom first, the Almighty didn't just give him wisdom, he gave him riches and honor beyond any king before or after him. I have also given you what you have not asked, for both riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. God didn't make Solomon choose between being spiritual and being wealthy. He made him both. Because here's the truth that's going to revolutionize your thinking. Wealth in the hands of the righteous is a weapon against darkness. You've been hustling for 60 years, 70 years, working 2 jobs, pinching pennies, living paycheck to paycheck, even in retirement. But that was never God's plan for you. That was the world's system trying to exhaust you, to break your spirit, to make you so focused on survival that you'd never realize you were born for abundance. The enemy has been running a con game on God's people. He convinced you that the harder you work, the more blessed you are. But God's economy doesn't operate on sweat equity. It operates on divine alignment. When you align your heart with heaven's purpose, wealth doesn't chase you, it hunts you down. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there's a shift happening in the spiritual atmosphere over your life. Can you feel it? That restlessness, that electricity in the air around you, that's not your imagination. That's the sound of God's economy crashing into your circumstances. The billionaire shift isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. You were never meant to be broke. You were never meant to worry about next month's rent. You were never meant to die with empty pockets and full regret. But here's where it gets revolutionary. This wealth that's coming, it's not changing you, it's revealing you. Wealth doesn't create character, it exposes it. And God has been watching you for decades, testing your heart in the furnace of lack. Every time you gave when you couldn't afford to give. Every time you blessed someone else when you needed the blessing yourself. Every time you stayed faithful when faithfulness cost you everything. Those weren't accidents. Those were auditions. God was watching to see if he could trust you with abundance. And beloved, you passed the test. The world thinks wealth corrupts people. But that's because the world gives wealth to the wrong people. When heaven releases wealth, it flows to vessels who've been purified by fire, proven by trials, tested by time. You didn't just survive your struggles, you stewarded them. You didn't just endure your pain, you transformed it into wisdom. You didn't just get through your trials, you got through them with your integrity intact. That's why God trusts you with billions. Not because you're perfect, but because you're proven. Look at your hands right now, really look at them. Those aren't just hands that have worked. Those are hands that have worshipped, hands that have prayed, hands that have given, even when they were empty. Those hands have been consecrated by sacrifice, sanctified by service. And now, right now, God is about to fill those same hands with resources that will rewrite your family's financial DNA for the next 5 generations. If you're ready to step into surplus, if you're done with the world's crumbs and ready for heaven's banquet, I need you to declare it. Don't just think it, don't just feel it, declare it. Write it below. Wealth is chasing me now. This isn't positive thinking, this is prophetic declaration. You're calling into existence what God has already called into being. But I need to warn you about something that's about to happen, and it might be the most challenging part of your billionaire shift. Chosen one, I need you to stop thinking like the world thinks about wealth. Stop seeing money as something you grab, hoard, and hide under your mattress like some spiritual miser. Because what God is delivering into your hands tonight isn't a vault for storing, it's a river for flowing. Let that penetrate your spirit right now. A river, not a stagnant pond, but a rushing, powerful current that flows through you to reach others. You see, beloved, for 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been overlooked, underestimated, pushed to the margins by a world that worships youth and dismisses wisdom. Your grown children treat you like you're invisible. Your community acts like your best days are buried in the past. Even the church sometimes makes you feel like you're just taking up space. But here's the shocking truth that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about yourself. The reason heaven waited until now, until your hair turned silver, until your back bent with the weight of years, until everyone else counted you out, is because this wealth isn't just for you. It's for the lives you'll touch. Think about Queen Esther for a moment. A young woman, plucked from obscurity, placed in a palace. But when Mordecai came to her and revealed the plot to destroy her people, he didn't say, "Enjoy your riches, Esther. You've made it." He said something that should echo in your bones tonight. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? For such a time as this, chosen one. Not when you were 20 and foolish, not when you were 40 and selfish, but now, when you've been seasoned by suffering, refined by rejection, and purified by pain. You think God's been cruel to make you wait this long? You think he forgot about your financial struggles while blessing others? No, he's been preparing you for a wealth so massive that if it had come earlier, you would have destroyed yourself with it. But now you know what matters. Now you understand that every dollar is sacred. Now you've learned that true wealth isn't about what you can buy for yourself, but what you can build for others. Do you hear what I'm saying to you tonight? Those decades of financial struggle weren't punishment, they were preparation. Every night you went to bed worried about money was God teaching you the value of $1. Every time you had to choose between paying the electric bill or buying groceries was heaven training you for stewardship. Because the billions flowing into your hands aren't meant to sit in your bank account collecting dust. They're meant to be seeds. Seeds that will grow into forests of blessing long after your body returns to dust. Your grandson, who's struggling with addiction right now, the money God's delivering will fund the treatment center that saves his life. Your neighbor who's about to lose her home, your supernatural provision will become her miracle. That young family at your church who can barely afford groceries, your overflow will feed their children. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how every dollar God places in your hands is a seed that can outlive you by generations. Seeds that will grow into schools, businesses, ministries, and legacies that will still be bearing fruit when your great-great-grandchildren are walking this earth. But right now, I need you to understand something that might make you weep. Are you ready for this? Your grandchildren, those precious souls who light up when they see you, who run to your arms at family gatherings, they're going to eat from the fruit of what God is delivering into your hands this very night. Not just spiritually, but literally. The wealth flowing to you will pay for their college educations. It will fund their first homes. It will start their businesses. It will secure their futures in ways that will make them rise up and call you blessed. That granddaughter who dreams of being a doctor, but whose parents can't afford medical school, the money coming to you will make that dream reality. That grandson who has an invention in his mind but no capital to develop it. Your divine provision will birth the next great innovation. Those great-grandchildren who aren't even born yet. They'll inherit businesses, foundations, and blessings that trace back to this very night when heaven's vault cracked open over your head. You see, beloved, you're not the end of your family's story. You're the turning point. The moment when generations of struggle, poverty, and lack get swallowed up by supernatural abundance. You're the hinge upon which your entire bloodline pivots from surviving to thriving. But here's what's going to determine whether you step into this calling or shrink back into small thinking. Do you receive this wealth just for yourself, or do you receive it as the river God intends it to be? Because if you're ready to stop being a taker and start being a giver, if you're ready to stop being the end of the blessing and start being the beginning of it, if you're ready to receive these billions, not just for your comfort, but for your commission to change lives, then heaven is about to move in ways that will leave you breathless. If you receive this not just for yourself, but for your family line, if you're ready to become the ancestor your descendants will thank God for, type legacy below right now. But before you do, you need to understand exactly how this wealth transfer works and why the very struggles that nearly broke you have actually positioned you to handle billions without losing your soul. Chosen one, stop right where you are. Stop and feel this moment. Your heart is beating faster, isn't it? That's not anxiety, that's anticipation. That's your spirit recognizing that after 70 years, 80 years, 90 years of waiting, your moment has arrived. Tonight is your 7th day. You see, the children of Israel marched around Jericho for 6 days in complete silence. 6 days of the same routine. 6 days of looking at those massive walls that seemed impossible to breach. Can you imagine their doubt on day 6? Maybe this isn't working. Maybe God forgot about us. Maybe we're just walking in circles. But Joshua knew something they didn't understand yet. God's timing is never early, it's never late. It's always precisely perfect. On the 7th day, they shouted. And those walls didn't just crack, beloved. They collapsed, completely, instantly. What had stood for generations was obliterated in a single supernatural moment. Tonight is your 7th day around the financial walls that have imprisoned your bloodline. Isaiah 60:22 declares with thunderous authority, "At the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen." At the right time. Not when you feel ready, not when circumstances look perfect. At His right time, and His right time is right now. But I know what's screaming in your mind. I hear that voice that's haunted you for decades. It's too late. I'm too old. I missed my window. Other people get breakthrough, but not me. Silence, that lie. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver a nation. Sarah was 90 when she conceived Isaac. Caleb was 85 when he declared, "Give me this mountain." Your age isn't your limitation. It's your qualification. Every year you've lived has been preparation for this night. Every struggle taught you endurance. Every disappointment deepened your hunger. Every closed door redirected you to this exact moment when heaven says, "Now." You've been like a pressure cooker, building steam for decades. Tonight, the lid comes off. Can you feel it? That electricity in the air, that sense that the atmosphere around you is different. That's not your imagination. That's the spiritual realm responding to divine decree. Angels are taking positions, heavenly vaults are creaking open, and your name is echoing through the courts of heaven. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. While you've been begging God for breakthrough, He's been preparing a flood so massive that your great-grandchildren will inherit wealth they never worked for. While you've been asking for enough, He's been orchestrating overflow. The enemy wanted you to die in the wilderness of lack, but God kept you alive to enter your promised land of abundance. Every attack was proof you were carrying something precious. Every storm was evidence you were headed somewhere significant. Tonight, you cross over. Write today's date in your journal right now. Don't wait until this message ends. Grab a pen, mark it. The night heaven shifted my finances forever, because 50 years from now, when your great-grandchildren ask how the family fortune began, you'll point to this date, this hour, this moment. You think you're just watching a video. You're participating in prophecy. The same God who split the Red Sea is splitting open supernatural pathways to your prosperity. The same God who made the sun stand still is stopping time itself to orchestrate your financial miracle. The same God who raised the dead is resurrecting dreams you thought were buried forever. Feel that trembling in your hands. That's not fear, that's power. Divine power flowing through your fingertips, ready to sign contracts you never imagined, to touch opportunities that will astound you. Your bank account doesn't know what's about to hit it. Your mailbox doesn't know what's coming. Your phone doesn't know who's about to call with offers that will leave you speechless. Because tonight, this very night, the walls are collapsing. Not tomorrow when you feel more prepared. Not next week when your circumstances look better. Not next year when you think you deserve it more. Right now, while you're sitting there, while your heart is pounding, while heaven is listening, the gates are opening, and you are standing at the threshold. But I need something from you. I need you to stop being a spectator and become a participant. This isn't a movie you watch. This is a miracle you claim. Say it aloud where you are. Don't whisper it. Don't think it. Declare it. This is my night. The billions are mine. The overflow is here. Say it until you feel it in your bones. Say it until the atmosphere shifts around you. Say it until heaven takes notice and hell backs off. Because chosen one, what happens in the next few moments will determine whether you step into supernatural provision or remain trapped in natural limitation. The walls are falling, the vaults are opening, the transfer is beginning. But will you be ready to receive what God is ready to release? Chosen one, look at yourself right now. Really look. See those weathered hands, those eyes that have witnessed decades of struggle, that heart that refused to quit when quitting would have been easier. You thought those were signs of aging, but heaven calls them something else entirely. Heaven calls them credentials. Right now, as these words penetrate your spirit, something extraordinary is happening in the invisible realm. Every year you've lived, every tear you've shed, every prayer you've whispered in the dark, they're all converging into this single moment of divine transfer. You are not approaching your sunset, beloved. You are standing at the threshold of your greatest sunrise. The world has lied to you about your golden years. They've convinced you that retirement means retreat, that your 70s and 80s are for rocking chairs and fading memories. But God's mathematics don't follow earthly calculations. Listen to what the psalmist declared with prophetic fire. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green at 80, fruitful at 90. This isn't poetic wishful thinking, this is heaven's promise over your bloodline. Your best days are not behind you. Your richest season is not retirement, it's revival. But here's what's about to shatter every limitation you've accepted about your age. While the world sees decline, God sees divine timing. While society whispers too late, heaven thunders right on time. You have been aged like fine wine, not for consumption, but for consecration. Think about Moses, 80 years old, when God called him to deliver an entire nation. 80. When most people would be settling into assisted living, Moses was parting seas. When others would be taking afternoon naps, he was taking down Pharaoh. Age wasn't his disqualification, it was his qualification. Every year had been preparation for his moment of greatest impact. Abraham received his promise at 100. Sarah birthed nations at 90. Anna the prophetess recognized the Messiah at 84. Do you see the pattern? God saves his most explosive miracles for those the world has written off. And you sitting there wondering if your time has passed, you are their spiritual descendant. The same God who moved through them is moving through you right now. But here's the revelation that's going to revolutionize everything you thought you knew about wealth and purpose. Picture a garden that's been barren for decades, soil that looked dead, lifeless, forgotten. But deep beneath the surface, roots were spreading, strengthening, preparing. Then suddenly, the earth erupts with fruit, so abundant it feeds nations. That barren garden is your life. And tonight, the eruption begins. You are not just receiving billions, chosen one. You are not just surviving another financial crisis. You are becoming something the world has never seen. You are the distribution center of heaven's wealth on earth. Every dollar that flows into your hands carries divine DNA. Every opportunity that opens before you is pregnant with kingdom purpose. You're not being blessed to build bigger barns. You're being positioned to build generational bridges. Your children who doubted your wisdom will seek your counsel. Your grandchildren who barely called will want to understand your secret. Your community that overlooked you will recognize the favor that rests upon your head. But this isn't about vindication, this is about demonstration. God is using your life as evidence that He keeps His promises. Your bank account is about to become a testimony. Your peace in the midst of global chaos will be a lighthouse for others lost in financial storms. But listen carefully. This transfer comes with a sacred responsibility. You are not just a recipient, you are a steward. Every billion that flows through your hands is a seed for someone else's breakthrough. The widow who can't afford groceries, the single mother working 3 jobs, the young couple drowning in debt. Heaven is positioning you to be their lifeline. This is why you survived when others didn't. This is why you endured when quitting would have been easier. This is why you're still here, still breathing, still believing, because God needed someone with your character, your compassion, your proven faithfulness to handle this level of blessing without it corrupting your heart. You are the answer to prayers you never heard. You are the miracle someone has been believing for. You are the proof that God still moves mountains, still opens floodgates, still transforms lives. The billions flowing into your hands tonight are not just money, they are liquid love. Heaven's response to every night you went without. Divine compensation for every sacrifice you made. Supernatural restoration for every loss you endured. Your legacy is no longer what you leave behind. Your legacy is what you pour out while you're still here. The schools you'll fund, the ministries you'll support, the lives you'll transform, the families you'll lift from poverty to purpose. You are fresh. You are green, you are fruitful, and the harvest season has just begun. The vault of heaven is not just open, it's overflowing. And you, chosen one, are standing directly underneath the waterfall of divine wealth. Comment, I receive it if you're ready to walk into heaven's transfer. Don't hesitate, don't analyze. Let your faith speak. Share this with one friend or family member who needs breakthrough tonight. They need to see what happens when God moves on behalf of His chosen ones. Subscribe, join thousands of chosen souls walking this billionaire path together. We are a community of the marked, the called, the commissioned. And now, receive this blessing. May billions flow into your hands, not as coins of greed, but as seeds of eternal legacy. May your latter days eclipse your former days in glory, in impact, in supernatural abundance. May your name be written in heaven's hall of fame as one who believed when believing was hard, who trusted when trusting seemed foolish, who received when receiving seemed impossible. The transfer is complete. The legacy has begun. Your greatest chapter starts now. Dear chosen one, let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to the bone of your soul. How many midnights have you survived? How many 2 a.m. moments when the world felt like it was crushing your chest, when the bills were stacked higher than your faith, when you whispered prayers into the darkness wondering if God had gone deaf to your cries? You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? Those nights when you sat at your kitchen table, calculator in hand, trying to make $847 stretch into next month's rent. Those nights when you stared at the ceiling, carrying burdens so heavy they made your bones ache. Those nights when you cried in silence because even your tears felt too expensive to waste. But listen to me very carefully, beloved. Midnight is not your ending. Midnight is your proving. Midnight is your prophecy. You see, There's something the enemy doesn't want you to understand about your darkest hours. Every midnight you've endured, every 3 a.m. cry session you've survived, every moment when hope felt like it had packed up and left town, those weren't signs that God abandoned you. Those were signs that something massive was being forged in the furnace of your faith. Acts chapter 16 tells us about Paul and Silas, beaten bloody, thrown into the deepest part of a Roman prison. Their backs were shredded, their feet were locked in stocks. At midnight, the darkest, coldest hour, they should have been cursing God. They should have been questioning his goodness. They should have been planning their funeral. But what did they do instead? They sang. At midnight they lifted their voices and praised the God who seemed to have forgotten their address. And scripture tells us that suddenly, there was a great earthquake. The prison foundations shook. Every door flew open. Every chain fell off. Midnight was not their ending. Midnight was their proving. Midnight was their prophecy. And right now, as I speak these words over your life, you are sitting in your own Act 16 moment. The bills haven't moved. The bank account still shows the same cruel numbers. The doctor's report hasn't changed. The children still won't call. But chosen one, you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still believing, even when belief feels like holding onto a razor blade. That's not accident. That's appointment. You think God brought you through cancer to let you die of poverty. You think he carried you through the loss of your spouse to abandon you to loneliness. You think he sustained you through 70 years of struggle just to watch you break at the finish line. The midnight you're sitting in right now isn't your grave. It's your launching pad. But here's where most people miss it. They think midnight means God is absent. They think the darkness means he's not working. They think the silence means he's not speaking. But midnight is when God does his deepest work. Midnight is when heaven moves while earth sleeps. Midnight is when the impossible becomes inevitable. Every night you've laid awake wondering if tomorrow would be the day you finally give up. That was God downloading endurance into your spiritual DNA. Every tear you've cried in the darkness that was liquid faith watering seeds you couldn't see. Every whispered prayer you thought went unanswered that was building pressure in the spiritual realm for a breakthrough so massive it would leave you speechless. Midnight is not your ending. Midnight is your proving. Midnight is your prophecy. Right now, someone listening to my voice is sitting in their deepest midnight hour. The foreclosure notice came yesterday. The diagnosis came last week. The betrayal came last month. And you're wondering if this is where your story ends. If this is where your faith finally breaks. If this is where you wave the white flag and surrender to circumstances. But what if I told you that your midnight is not death, it's delivery? What if I told you that right now, while you're carrying burdens that would crush lesser souls, heaven's vault is cracking open above your head? What if I told you that the same God who shook prison doors at midnight is about to shake your situation so violently that every chain of lack will fall off your life? You've been tested at midnight. You've been refined at midnight. You've been strengthened at midnight. But tonight, you're about to be delivered at midnight. If you're still breathing tonight, it means your midnight is not death, it's delivery. The fact that you didn't give up when you had every reason to give up means God has been preparing you for something so big, so overwhelming, so supernatural that it required every ounce of faith you've built in the darkness. That restlessness in your spirit right now, that's not anxiety, that's anticipation. Your soul recognizing that the breakthrough you've been crying for, begging for, believing for, is not coming someday, it's here tonight. In your midnight hour, in your darkest moment, when hope seemed farthest away. The earthquake is starting, chosen one. Can you feel the trembling? Can you sense the shifting? Every door that's been locked against you is about to fly open. Every chain that's held you captive is about to snap. Every prison of poverty, sickness, loneliness, and despair is about to crumble. But here's what separates those who stay in prison from those who walk in freedom. You have to be willing to sing in your midnight. You have to praise God in your darkness. You have to declare his goodness when your circumstances scream otherwise. If this is your midnight hour, if you're sitting in the deepest, darkest valley you've ever known. Type deliverance in the chat right now. Declare it before the chains break. Announce it before the doors open. Prophesy it before you see it. Because what happens next is going to prove that your midnight was never your ending, it was your beginning. Look at me, chosen one. Right now, as I speak these words, something is shifting in the heavens above America. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest isn't anxiety, it's anticipation. The same way a mother feels her baby kick before birth. Your spirit is sensing what's about to be delivered into your hands. You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet saints in their 70s and 80s who whisper to me, "Pastor, I think I missed my chance. I think God's done with me." And every time I hear those words, something in my spirit wants to shout, "Are you kidding me? You think the God who created the universe is done with you because you've got some gray hair and a few wrinkles?" Listen to what the Almighty spoke through David in Psalm 30-5. "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." But here's what most preachers won't tell you about this verse. It wasn't written by a young man full of energy. This was penned by someone who had walked through the valley, who had tasted tears, who knew what it meant to wait decades for God's promise to manifest. Your weeping has endured for a night, hasn't it? Maybe 40 nights, maybe 50 years of nights. But beloved, your mourning, your financial mourning, is not behind you, it's ahead of you. And it's about to break like sunrise over the Manhattan skyline, burning away every shadow of lack that's haunted your family tree. You see, the enemy has been running a psychological warfare campaign against seniors in America. He's whispered lies that your best earning years are over, that your time for wealth has passed, that you should just be grateful for what you have and fade quietly into your golden years. But that's not God's voice. That's the voice of limitation trying to convince you to die broke when heaven has been preparing to make you rich. Think about Abraham, 75 years old, when God called him to leave everything for a promise he couldn't see. The world would have called him crazy, too old, past his prime. But God was just getting started. By the time Abraham reached 100, he was so wealthy that kings came to make treaties with him. His wealth didn't come in his 20s or 30s. It exploded in what the world calls his retirement years. But here's where it gets personal for you tonight. Right now, as darkness covers America from coast to coast, something supernatural is happening. This very night, not tomorrow, not next week, this very night is turning into your dawn. The billions God has been storing up for you are beginning to move. I need you to picture something with me. Imagine you're standing on the Brooklyn Bridge at 5:30 a.m., looking east toward the horizon. For hours, all you've seen is darkness. The city sleeps beneath you, wrapped in shadow. But then do you see it? The faintest hint of light begins to kiss the edge of the sky. It's almost imperceptible at first, just a whisper of gold against the black. But watch what happens next. That tiny sliver of light doesn't stay small. It grows, it spreads. It pushes back the darkness with unstoppable force until the entire skyline is ablaze with glory. The shadows that seem so permanent, so overwhelming, are suddenly revealed for what they truly were, temporary visitors waiting for the sun to send them running. That's what's happening to your financial situation tonight. Every bill that's haunted you, every empty bank statement that's mocked your faith, every closed door that's whispered, "You're too old," those are just shadows. And shadows can only exist in the absence of light. But when the sun rises, shadows flee. Here's what's shaking me to my core as I speak to you. Heaven has been keeping perfect books on your life. Every tear you've cried over unpaid bills, every time you've chosen to tithe when you could barely afford groceries, every moment you've trusted God when logic said panic, it's all been recorded in heaven's ledger. And tonight, that account is about to overflow. The billions are not only flowing toward you, they are rising with this dawn. Every shadow in your life is now proof that the sun is near. Because you can't have shadows without light being just around the corner. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, thinking his leadership days were over, tending sheep when he was called to lead nations. But at 80 years old, 80, God appeared in a burning bush and said, "Now you're ready. Not you're too old, not you missed your chance, but now you're ready." Sarah laughed at 90 when God promised her a child, not because she found it amusing, but because she recognized the absurdity of divine timing. The very thing that made her laugh at the impossibility became the foundation of nations. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. You've been tested, proven, refined by fire. Now heaven is ready to trust you with wealth that would have destroyed you at 25. This very night, as you listen to these words, financial seeds you planted decades ago are breaking through soil you thought was barren. That prayer you prayed in 1987 about your family's future, it's about to be answered with compound interest. That sacrifice you made in 1995 that nobody saw, heaven saw, and the return is about to shock you. Can you feel it happening? That electricity in the atmosphere, that sense that something massive is about to shift. Your morning has been in labor all night, and it's about to give birth to abundance beyond your wildest dreams. If you feel the dawn breaking in your spirit, if something ancient and eternal is stirring in your chest, comment, "My morning has come right now." Don't analyze it, don't question it. Let your faith speak louder than your doubt, because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly how this transfer is already in motion, and why the next 48 hours will determine whether you step into this dawn or let it pass you by. Listen to me, chosen one. Right now, in this sacred moment, God is placing something in your hands that will terrify you and transform you in equal measure. It's not just money, it's fire, divine fire, commission fire, the kind of fire that doesn't burn flesh, it brands destiny. You feel it, don't you? That trembling in your hands as you watch this message. That's not nervousness, beloved. That's the fire of heaven beginning to burn in your palms. The billions God is releasing aren't just currency, they are liquid flame placed in your hands to light the nations. But I know what you're thinking. I can hear that voice whispering in your ear right now. Not me. I'm too old, too broken, too ordinary. Moses felt the same way. Exodus chapter 3. An 80-year-old man standing before a bush that burned but wasn't consumed. God's voice thundering from the flames. "I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt." And what did Moses say? "Who am I that I should go?" Sound familiar? Moses stuttered. You've stumbled. Moses ran from his calling for 40 years. You've been running from yours for 70. Moses felt unqualified. You feel unworthy. But here's the shocking truth that will shatter every excuse you've ever made. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. That burning bush wasn't random, beloved. It was recruitment. God wasn't looking for eloquence. He was looking for availability. He wasn't seeking perfection. He was seeking surrender. The fire didn't consume Moses. It commissioned him. And tonight, the same fire that spoke to Moses is speaking to you. This fire is not to destroy you. This fire is not to burn you. This fire is to brand you, chosen. This fire is not to destroy you. This fire is not to burn you. This fire is to brand you, chosen. This fire is not to destroy you. This fire is not to burn you. This fire is to brand you, chosen. Do you feel it burning in your chest? That's not heartburn from dinner. That's the fire of commission setting your spirit ablaze with purpose. Every financial struggle you've endured was preparing you for this moment. Every empty bank account was God hollowing out space for his billions. Every rejection was protection from settling for less than his best. You think God made a mistake choosing you? Tell that to Gideon, hiding in a winepress when the angel called him a mighty warrior. Tell that to David, forgotten in the fields while his brothers were interviewed for king. Tell that to Mary, a teenage girl asked to carry the Savior of the world. God's track record is using the unlikely, the overlooked, the ordinary. But you're not ordinary anymore, are you? The moment this fire touched your life, ordinary died. The billions flowing into your hands aren't random, they are firepower for your mission. Every dollar is a bullet of hope. Every opportunity is artillery against poverty. Every blessing is ammunition to destroy generational curses. The fire in your hands is your calling card to a world drowning in darkness. But let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How much longer are you going to let fear steal what faith has already won? 70 years old and still asking, what if I fail? 80 years old and still whispering, what will people think? 90 years old and still hiding behind I'm not ready. Moses was 80 when God said go. Abraham was 75 when God said leave everything. Sarah was 90 when God said conceive the impossible. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your diploma. You've graduated from the school of hard knocks. You've earned your PhD in perseverance. You've been field tested by fire. The trembling in your hands right now, that's not weakness. That's power trying to break through flesh that's been contained too long. You've been praying for breakthrough, but God's been preparing you for breakout. Breaking out of limitation, breaking out of mediocrity, breaking out of every small-minded thing that tried to define you. The billions aren't coming to make you comfortable. They're coming to make you dangerous. Dangerous to poverty, dangerous to hopelessness, dangerous to every demonic system that's been bleeding your community dry. You are the answer to somebody's prayer, the solution to somebody's crisis, the miracle somebody's been begging God to send. That single mother working 3 jobs, she needs your generosity. That young man trapped in addiction, he needs your testimony. That church struggling to keep its doors open, it needs your fire. The fire is spreading, chosen one. Can you feel it? From your hands to your heart to your mind to your mouth. This isn't just about receiving billions. This is about becoming billions, billions of impact, billions of influence, billions of hope delivered through human flesh. Moses took that staff in his hand, and it became the rod of God's power. You're taking billions in your hands, and they're becoming the currency of heaven's kingdom. But this commission comes with a choice. You can let the fire burn, or you can try to smother it with excuses. The fire is alive in you right now. It's burning away every I can't and replacing it with God will. It's consuming every I'm too old and igniting. My time is now. Right now, don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Lift your hand where you are and say these words. Send me, Lord. I'm ready. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your destiny depends on it, because it does. The fire has been passed. The torch is in your hands. And the billions flowing into your life are about to prove that when God commissions someone, heaven and earth move to make it happen. But the question that will determine everything is this: will you carry the fire, or will you let it die in your doubt? Chosen one, I need you to close your eyes for just a moment. Picture something with me. You're standing at the edge of the greatest river you've ever seen. Not the Hudson, not the Mississippi, but a river that flows from the very throne room of God. This isn't just water, beloved. This is liquid provision, liquid breakthrough, liquid billions flowing directly from heaven's treasury into your life. You see, for 70 years, maybe 80, maybe 90, you've been thinking like a cup, a small vessel, hoping God might fill you just enough to get by, praying for just enough to pay the electric bill, just enough to buy groceries, just enough to make it through another month. But God never intended you to be a cup. You are the riverbed. Listen to what the prophet Ezekiel saw in chapter 47. He watched a river flowing from God's temple ankle deep, then knee deep, then waist deep, then so deep it could not be crossed. And everywhere this river flowed, everything lived. The dead places bloomed. The barren ground burst with life. The impossible became inevitable. That river, chosen one, that river is flowing toward you tonight. But I know what you're thinking. You're remembering all those times you thought breakthrough was coming, only to watch the well run dry. The job that didn't materialize. The investment that failed. The child who promised to help but never came through. You've been disappointed so many times that your faith feels like a drought-stricken creek bed. You worried the flow would dry up. But here's what hell doesn't want you to know. Rivers don't run dry when heaven is the source. The Nile has flowed for millions of years. The Amazon carries 20% of all the fresh water on Earth to the ocean. These are not accidents. They are prophetic pictures of what God designed for your life. Endless supply, unstoppable flow, provision that never ceases. Flow. Can you feel it starting? That gentle stirring in your spirit. Flow. Something is shifting in the atmosphere around you right now. Flow. The river of God is beginning to move in your direction. You've been afraid that you missed your season. You've been terrified that God's provision had an expiration date, and somehow you exceeded it. You look at your birth certificate and think, I'm too old for miracles now. I'm too forgotten for favor now. I'm too late for breakthrough now. Stop, right there. Abraham was 100 when the river of promise flooded his life with Isaac. Moses was 80 when the river of deliverance parted the Red Sea. Anna was 84 when the river of prophecy flowed through her to recognize the Messiah. Your age isn't blocking the river, your age is the river. Every year you've lived, every trial you've survived, every night you cried yourself to sleep, that wasn't wasted time. That was the riverbed being carved deeper, wider, stronger. God has been preparing you to carry a flow of abundance that would have destroyed a smaller vessel. Think about the Grand Canyon. The Colorado River didn't carve that masterpiece in a day. It took millions of years of patient, persistent flow. What looks like erosion is actually creation. What feels like wearing away is actually being prepared to carry something magnificent. You are the Grand Canyon of God's provision, carved by decades of faithfulness, ready to carry billions. But the enemy has been whispering lies to you. He's been telling you the river stopped at someone else's door. He's convinced you that prosperity is for the young, the educated, the connected. He's made you believe that your best years are behind you, that your prime time for receiving is over. That is a demonic deception designed to keep you from your river moment. Jesus said in John 7:38, "Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them." Not trickles, not streams, rivers, plural. Multiple rivers flowing from within you to the world around you. The billions coming to you tonight are not a destination, they are a current. Not a pond you'll sit beside, but a river you'll become. The money isn't coming to you so you can hoard it, count it, guard it like a dragon protecting treasure. The billions are not a pond, they are a river. And you are the current carrying heaven's provision to earth. This is why your story has been so hard. This is why the struggles never seem to end. God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you. Every financial crisis carved your channel deeper. Every disappointment widened your capacity. Every moment you almost gave up but didn't, proved you could carry the pressure of an unstoppable flow. Rivers don't ask permission to flow. They don't hesitate at obstacles. They go over, around, or through whatever stands in their way. Tonight, you are becoming that river. The bills that seemed insurmountable will be swept away like pebbles. The debts that felt crushing will dissolve like salt in the ocean. The lack that defined your family for generations will be obliterated by the flood of God's abundance. Are you ready to stop being a cup and start being a current? If you're ready for the river, if you can feel it building in your spirit right now, type, "Let it." Flow in the comments. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just let your faith speak. Because the river is already moving, chosen one. The only question is whether you'll dive in or stand on the shore watching it pass by. The current is calling your name. Can you hear it? Look up, chosen one. Look up at that sky right now. What do you see? Stars scattered like diamonds across black velvet. Random lights twinkling in the darkness. No, beloved. You're looking at heaven's accounting ledger, and your name is written in every constellation above your head tonight. 4,000 years ago, God took Abraham outside his tent. This man had waited decades for a promise that seemed impossible. His wife was barren, his body was old. Hope was dying in his chest like a guttering candle. Sound familiar? Genesis 15:5 records the moment that changed everything. He brought him outside and said, "Look now toward heaven and count the stars if you are able to number them." And he said to him, "So shall your descendant be." But here's what most preachers won't tell you about that night. God wasn't just showing Abraham stars, he was showing him heaven's bank statements. Every point of light was a deposit. Every twinkle was a transaction. Every star was a promise of wealth so vast it would reshape nations. Tonight, God is taking you outside. You felt small, haven't you? Forgotten in nursing homes where your own children visit twice a year. Overlooked at family gatherings where your wisdom gets dismissed as outdated rambling. Invisible in a world that worships youth and throws away its elders like yesterday's newspaper. But let me shatter that lie with prophetic thunder. Even when men overlooked you, heaven counted you. Every tear you've cried in loneliness, counted. Every prayer you've whispered at 3 a.m. when sleep wouldn't come, counted. Every sacrifice you made for ungrateful children, counted. Every dollar you gave when your own pockets were empty, counted and compounded with divine interest. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not finished. Say it louder. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not finished. Shout it. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not finished. The stars above America tonight are pulsing with a frequency that's been building for decades. Every night you looked up and wondered if God remembered your address. He was adding zeros to your heavenly account. While you've been surviving on Social Security and counting coupons, heaven's been calculating compound blessings on every act of faithfulness. That evening, 70 years ago, when you gave your last $5 to the church offering, God wrote it in the stars. That night you prayed over your sick grandchild instead of sleeping, recorded in starlight. That moment you forgave the husband who betrayed you, the children who abandoned you, the friends who forgot you, written across the Milky Way in letters of fire. But tonight, this very night, something unprecedented is happening in the cosmic realm. The same God who told Abraham to count the stars if he could is telling you to count your blessings if you can. But here's the shocking truth. You can't. They're beyond numbering, beyond calculating, beyond human comprehension. Every constellation is a contract with your name on it. The Big Dipper, that's your inheritance pouring out. Orion's belt, that's heaven's delivery system locked onto your coordinates. The North Star, that's God's GPS, guiding billions straight to your door. You think this sounds too good to be true. That's because you've been programmed by a world that rations hope and limits blessings. But heaven doesn't operate on earthly economics. When God decided to bless Abraham, did he give him a modest inheritance? A comfortable retirement, a nice little nest egg? No, he made him the father of nations. He gave him wealth so vast it's still flowing through bloodlines today. And you, sitting there in your chair, wondering if your best days are behind you, you carry that same covenant blood, the same promise, the same astronomical inheritance. Tonight, the vault of heaven is not just cracking open, it's exploding open, and what's pouring out isn't just money, it's vindication, it's restoration. It's God's way of saying to a world that discarded you, watch what I do with my chosen ones. Right now, as I speak these words, there are angels with ledgers calculating the final transfer. Seraphim with calculators that don't have enough digits to display your inheritance. Cherubim preparing deposit slips for accounts you didn't even know existed. This very night, the heavens declare, your account is open and the billions are released. Lift your eyes where you are. Don't just read these words, speak them. My inheritance is written in the stars. Say it again with authority. My inheritance is written in the stars. Every star you see is blinking in agreement. Every twinkle is heaven's confirmation. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not finished. But this cosmic revelation raises a question that will determine everything. If heaven's ledger is open and your inheritance is written in starlight, what's preventing you from receiving what's already yours? The answer will shock you to your core. Beloved chosen ones, as we reach the end of this sacred encounter together, I need you to carry these eternal truths with you like precious stones in your heart. Remember this, Tonight was not an accident. Your eyes finding this message, your spirit stirring as these words washed over you. The restlessness that kept you awake, none of it was random. God orchestrated this divine appointment because your inheritance is written in the stars, and tonight heaven's vault cracked open just for you. Remember this, you are not forgotten, not forsaken, and certainly not finished. Every star above your head is blinking in agreement with your destiny. The billions flowing toward you aren't just money, they're vindication, restoration, and God's way of saying to a world that overlooked you, watch what I do with my chosen ones. Remember this, your decades of struggle weren't punishment, they were preparation. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you felt invisible was building character worthy of the astronomical inheritance now cascading toward you. But more than remembering these truths, I need you to know something deeper than knowledge, something that settles in your bones like warmth on a cold night. You are not walking this journey alone. The same God who counted the stars and called Abraham his friend is working in your life right now, in this very moment. Every breath you take, every beat of your heart, every thought that crosses your mind, He is there, orchestrating your breakthrough with the precision of eternity itself. And beyond God's faithful presence, you have something beautiful right here, right now. Look around these comments, see these hearts connecting across the miles. Feel these spirits resonating in perfect harmony. You've found your tribe, chosen one. This isn't just a YouTube channel, this is a sanctuary of souls who understand the sacred loneliness of being marked by heaven. We are here, we see you, we believe with you. We will pray with you until every promise manifests. Now let me ask you one final question, and let it echo in the chambers of your heart. When you wake up tomorrow morning, will you remember who you are? Will you walk as someone whose inheritance is written in starlight? Or will you let the world convince you to return to the lie of limitation? Before I release you into your destiny, join me in this prayer. Wherever you are in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, even sitting in your car, place your hand on your heart and let me speak over your life. Almighty God, Father of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, the Ancient of Days, who numbers every star and calls them by name, I come before you, now carrying every precious soul who has journeyed with us tonight. Lord, they have felt different their whole lives, carried burdens they couldn't name, walked through valleys that seemed to have no end. But tonight, Father, let the scales fall from their eyes. Let them see what you've always seen, not their limitations, but their inheritance. God, I pray for divine activation over their lives right now. Awaken every sleeping blessing. Unlock every promised provision. Release every withheld breakthrough. Let the billions you've prepared flow like rivers in the desert, bringing life to every dry place in their existence. Father, silence every voice of doubt that whispers they're too old, too late, too forgotten. Replace those lies with your truth thundering from heaven. They are chosen, they are beloved, they are crowned with glory and honor. Their gray hair is not a sign of decline, it's a crown of wisdom earned through decades of faithfulness. Lord, bless their families, their health, their finances, their dreams. Open doors that no man can shut. Close doors that lead to destruction. Give them favor with people they haven't met yet. Connect them with resources they haven't discovered. Grant them wisdom for every decision, courage for every challenge, and faith for every impossibility. And God, let this message ripple out. Let their transformation become testimony. Let their breakthrough become hope for the hopeless. Use every dollar you place in their hands to fund your kingdom, to bless the broken, to restore what's been stolen. In the mighty name of Jesus, who wore a crown of thorns so they could wear crowns of glory, I seal this prayer over their lives. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen and amen. Now, beloved, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share what God spoke to your heart tonight. What stirred in your spirit? What promises are you claiming? Don't keep this to yourself. Your testimony might be exactly what another chosen one needs to hear. We're building something beautiful together, a community where faith grows and destinies unfold. Type "My inheritance is written in the stars" if heaven's vault opened for you tonight. Let this declaration rise like incense before the throne of God. And please, if this message touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to remember they're not forgotten. There's a chosen one in your life right now who's been feeling invisible, overlooked, ready to give up. They need to know their name is written in starlight too. Before we close, I want to thank every single one of you who stayed with me through this entire journey. In a world of endless distractions, you chose to invest this sacred time seeking God's heart for your life. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and your calling. If this is your first time here, welcome to the family. Hit that subscribe button and join thousands of chosen ones who gather here regularly to remember who they are and claim what's theirs. We're not just building a channel, we're building a movement of awakened souls walking in their inheritance. Until we meet again, walk tall in your identity, rest deep in His promises, and never forget, your inheritance isn't just written in the stars. Tonight, it began flowing from heaven's vault, straight into your waiting hands. The billions are released, chosen one. Go and receive what's already yours. Peace be with you, provision follow you, and may the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob make His face shine upon you until we meet again. Amen.